Greetings! Welcome to the devlog for hot dogs, horseshoes, and hand grenades. We're going to start off as always with a quick sound check. Make sure your speakers aren't up too high. Wonderful. So what have we got for you this week? Well, we finally have the first alpha of the reworked Take and Hold. But before we jump into that, I'm going to show one little added feature that has come to our SO6 that actually sort of arose out of me watching and playing a lot of the old Take and Hold using the Mark II bots, which obviously were fairly simple bobbleheads compared to our SO6 here, but they had one feature that I know a lot of folks liked, which is that their actual segments, when they got blown apart, shattered as physics-active objects, which both was just fun from a kinematic objects bouncing around standpoint, but more importantly was really useful hit sort of reaction information. Especially if you were at distance, you could tell that you had dropped a target compared to just hurting it because you saw those chunks. So I have now built gibs for the SO6. So if we actually score a good headshot here, whap! Look at that! So in addition to the mustard burst, we actually get some chunks. They disappear pretty quickly for obvious performance reasons. Oh! Sorry, buddy! Whap! And there are those chunks. So it becomes, once again, especially at range, let's see if we can hit one well enough, much more obvious that SOSIG has gone down. Oh, come on. I'm doing a terrible job. Let's pull out something else that's good at gibbing. Blap! So, and I know for some of you this may be just either a little over the top or a little too performance expensive, especially if you're dropping big explosives. So this will be added as an option. You'll be able to turn it off if you want, but I think, especially for the more competitive modes, it helps to have this sort of extra hit registration to really tell that one has gone down. Blap! Haha! Got some good air on that one. Thanks for helping me with the demonstration there, boys! Anywho. So, that is added in. Now that we've taken a look at that, let us go ahead and jump over and do another run of Take and Hold in the form that it's going to be in tonight's alpha. But before that, if you've tuned into the video primarily to hear sort of my sort of thoughts and feedback involving the VR announcements of the past week, you could just go ahead and jump to the time code displayed on screen right here. If you'd like to listen to that before watching some Take and Hold gameplay.
Uplink successful. Target system detected. Take it.
All right, so we're loaded in to Take and Hold. There have been a number of changes since last week, basically related to balance and adding new features. The first and most important, relative to last week, is that the radar has become a little more limited. Ooh, looks like we got chopped down Sten here. Basically, when in the take phase, when you're sort of roaming around the level looking for the hold point and for equipment, the radar only detects enemies based on line of sight, so you can no longer sort of see through walls with it. You still get the full feature of the radar during the hold phase, because it really is necessary, but it basically means that as we head around this level looking for goodies, we've got to keep our eyes and our ears out. So I'm going to be chopping out some of the midsections of this run so that you can see more than just, say, the first two levels of the run and get a notion of how it increases in difficulty over the course of it. I don't want to attract too much attention, so I'm going to try
what that is.
getting some bot attention.
Huh? What's that?
Come on. Got him. That way we don't attract the patrol. Although, smacking on this, we might. Okay, so this is our new type of health power-up. This is not a full heal. This is only a partial heal, about 20%, but you'll find them way more commonly. Ooh, in hold points. There's the patrol. That was smart. Where'd they go? They must have disengaged. All right. Well, we will go ahead and head to the hold point. This is nothing I want to buy from the supply point. We know the patrol's over there, so we're probably good, seeing as this is just the first level. This one's a little hard to aim with. And we'll go rush the node.
Interfacing with
Boom.
system node. Hold this position. Analyzing system.
What?
Encryption neutralized.
Blap.
Hold successful. Data extracted. 3 override tokens found. Advance to next system node and take it.
Wonderful. Let's get ourselves some better equipment.
Oh, goodness. I should really get the laundry done tomorrow. Coordination!
Ah, nothing from this one. One thing you'll also notice to help you keep track when there are multiple supply points is that once you visit one, it goes gray on your map.
What's that?
Alright, moment of truth. Our second supply point here has a 4-token large case option. And we're gonna gamble. We're gonna take it. Be good!
Man, this part of the level is kind of bland.
Not great. That was not the best return on investment. But because it's a larger magazine, I will still take it. And here we go.
Interfacing with system node. Hold this position. Analyzing system.
Didn't give us any high cover. Amazing how much easier the gun is to aim when you get it stopped. Grab that grenade.
Standard encryption detected. Neutralizing.
Oh, picking up spare flashes. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, it must be back here.
What's that?
Encryption neutralized.
Wonderful.
Advancing to next system layer.
Maybe we'll defend from a little further back here.
Analyzing system.
Took a shot.
Hardened encryption detected.
He's still alive.
Encryption neutralized.
Got it.
Hold successful. Data extracted.
And there's our second
4
hole.
override tokens found. Advance to next system node and take it.
Let's get more gear.
Get the boring posts. What's over there?
You're gonna hear me anyway. Gotta get our token,
Override token found.
our heal. Very quickly, our rifle.
What's that?
Okay, get out of here. Oh no!
Double.
All
I
right,
should really get the laundry done
we're
tomorrow.
doing good. We got a good rifle. We can go back and engage.
Why do we always come in packs?
Oh, I wish we had a option for a sight.
Let's see. What does it say? Standing in one place for more than 4 hours.
Don't have a sight for this.
A medical professional.
It's aiming at that range a little hard.
Interfacing with system node. Hold this position.
It's gonna be a little spray and pray-tastic
Analyzing system.
without an iron. Doing that a lot. Oh. Fighting in the big room. It's a good position. Cover on both sides.
Hardened encryption detected. Neutralized.
Come on. Come on.
Fail.
One more hit.
Encryption
There we go.
neutralized.
All right.
Advancing to next system.
Wave one down.
Analyzing system.
Whole bunch more at once now.
Swarm encryption detected.
New encryption type. Gotta get pieces on the outside. I get shot.
Buzzer beat.
Really am.
Neutralize encryption or system.
Wish I had a sight. I'm gonna fail this hold.
System hack on verge of failure.
Oh,
Node connection terminated.
sometimes you just can't do it. You don't have the right equipment for it, or you made bad decisions at the beginning in terms of how you did it. But your run doesn't necessarily end there. You can keep going, which I'm gonna do. Oh, wow, 128 out of 5,000.
Override token found.
All right. Ooh, a sight. I'll make this easier to use.
Over there.
Oh, I probably. That's gonna bring tons of them. Let's get to another supply point. Here we go.
Override token found.
Oh, nothing
Investigating.
really. Oh. Nothing I really want. Let's check out that last supply point. Keep running.
Override token
Ooh,
found.
good. I'm gonna burn my 5. Ooh, that's a hard choice. Yeah.
Interfacing with system node.
get
Hold
back
this
here.
position. Analyzing system.
Let's make sure this is fully loaded. Oh, he's down. That cover out of there.
Encryption. Encryption
There we go.
neutralized.
1 of 3 down.
Advancing to
do
next
this.
system layer.
A little undergunned.
Analyzing system.
Let's see if we can do it. Good. Snuck up on me there. third's near the stairs. To leave cover.
Your system will fail. Encryption neutralized. Advancing to next system lane. Analyzing system.
Here we go. Wave 3. Cover's still in good condition. Channelizing.
Swarm encryption detected. Neutralizing.
Blasted. Oh, they're smoking me out. Oh, AA-12. They got me. Yo, out of VR now. Obviously, so let's talk about a bunch of stuff. So first off, with the alpha that is available tonight starting at 7 p.m. PST, a couple things to remember. None of the configuration options are in yet. No character selection, no difficulty selection, no health, no nothing. It is just locked in one specific state because I don't have all of that stuff for saving options and even changing them in-game up and running yet. So it's just going to be in the default configuration for this week. It is set to endless, so you can just keep, it should correctly kick in from the sort of run-up of the initial 5 holds and then a looping section that sort of picks the configuration randomly. Hopefully that doesn't break. Cool, so that is in there. In general, I'm looking primarily for just gestalt feeling feedback, and if something completely breaks, I need to know that as well. The place to post about that is in the, I'm going to actually create a new section of the Steam community forum called Take and Hold. And that's where you should post everything related to it, both problems you run into and just sorts of general thoughts. So that's the Take and Hold section of the Steam community forum for the game, linked down there. Wonderful. So beyond that, what are the other sort of things of import this past week? Well, obviously we had a whole bunch of sort of VR release announcements that I wanted to talk about a bit. I can't talk about some of them in super depth yet, both because I'm covered via an NDA still on one of the headsets, and one of them I haven't even gotten to physically handle yet, namely the Rift S. But I want to talk a little bit about each. In terms of the index, first I'm going to take a moment to just go like this. Yay! I'm super excited about it. I've already gotten a ton of questions from users about, like, to what degree of support is there going to be? Should I get it immediately? Should I just get the controller? Should I just get the HMD? What should I do? So I'm going to give you my very general sort of both what I'm going to be working on for them and then my sort of view on them. So in terms of what I'm going to be actually implementing in the game is, and I'm going to go ahead and put on one of the index controllers to demonstrate this. I'm going to be implementing the capacitive grip as well as the squeeze functionality. For those of you who don't know, this actually has some give to it. So this can actually, this is a force sensor, as is the thumb bit here, which is actually what makes these feel so great to punch things with. So I'm going to be implementing that, and my goal is to implement something akin to a sort of hybrid grip, which is basically that you can either grab an object with these 3 fingers as a standard grip, or you can grab it with the trigger, or a combination. And most importantly, you can pass them off from each other. So say you can very precisely grab something with the trigger to pick it up initially, but then transfer it to the rest of the hand by closing your hand and releasing the trigger. Or similarly, if you're holding something like this and you want to throw it really precisely, I want to make it so that you can release the rest of your hand, be holding it just with the trigger, like so, and go like that for a really precise flick, which will probably feel good for like throwing daggers and throwing knives, and probably even grenades if you're trying to throw them real precisely, just doing that as a trigger release, instead of trying to time the like angle, linear movement and release of your fingers. So it'll depend on which. If you want to throw real hard, doing it with a hand will probably feel better. So that is the plan with that. And then obviously implementing the way that I intend to handle locomotion. And I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to do it interface-wise, like if you're going to get a different locomotion interface based per platform, because it's already pretty confusing to configure. But the basic idea is that the sticks here will only ever do locomotion related things on index controllers. So it'll be the sort of thing that you'll be able to do it in terms of teleport. Will probably still just use B as a face button for that. Clicking left and right will probably be like a snap turn when you're in a teleport mode. When you're in arm swinger, it'll be the same thing. B just to hold down here, left rights on either stick to snap turn you, and then for sort of joystick locomotion, it'll just be a traditional twin stick setup because we have this separated from a full 2-axis thumb pad. So you'll be able to access firearm options while locomoting no matter what your locomotion setup is, which is wonderful. So in terms of actually getting into what to, whether to get it, what to get, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna speak, instead of speaking from the perspective of like someone who can just like drop $1,000 on the whole thing that's within their budget for the hobbies they do, that person has a more obvious decision. I'm going to address more the sort of like, the average sort of gamer that has to be a little more careful about their purchases. Something like a new VR HMD is a big purchase. I was a cash-strapped gamer for like most of my time using a computer, so I super get it. And the way that I've been framing it to people is if it's the sort of thing where you really only have it in your budget to either say upgrade your HMD because you had a Vive or get the new controllers, I think which will end up being more transformative and enjoyable is going to be based a lot on how you play H3. If you're the sort of H3 player that primarily hangs out in the friendly 45 range or the sniper range or the indoor range and is doing like just accurate target shooting and a more relaxed pace, and you've got a decent GPU, then I would get the headset. Just because the increase in visual fidelity, the optics, you're going to get a sharper iron sight picture, and you're just going to feel more resident in the scene, and you're going to get a big benefit out of that. If, on the other hand, you're more of like you play take and hold and play in the arenas and you fast-paced movement and you're locomoting a lot, and you only really have the money for one or the other, definitely get the controllers. Because even outside, like, I think the capacitive stuff here, this is sweet. But the thing that excites me the most fundamentally about these is this input mapping on the top here. The fact that we have a dedicated locomotion 2-axis input, a 2-axis input for objects, and 2 face buttons makes these the most input-rich VR controller, and I think we'll end up giving you for people who are playing a high-intensity mode where they're having to move a lot and operate objects very complexly, this is going to give you the most powerful input option for that. So there you have it. That's my that's all the piece that I can say about it. Once the NDA completely lifts on it, I can actually talk about the HMD more, but until then I really can't. So moving on, involving the and there'll be some, this will also cover controller stuff. For the Rift S, which apparently some people are already getting now, even though they were only supposed to arrive on like the 21st. But either way, the input refactor that I'm doing with update 72, that's going to be both take and hold and the input refactor, will detect that separately from the Rift and give you controller models for it. It's the same thing, WMR controller models finally going in, Index controller models will going in. That's all going to come in update 72. It should auto detect it, but I'm also going to have a little panel right in the main menu when you load in, just in case the game misidentifies your HMD, which has happened occasionally to me with like weird driver hiccups. You'll be able to just be like, nope, I'm using this. And then from there, a bunch of internal things will be configured for like pose overriding and things like that, and will map the locomotion modes correctly. But for the Rift S, it should TM just work. The only thing to be aware of, and this is a little bit of a corner case, is that because the panel's running at 80 hertz instead of 90, any firearm with a higher fire rate than 1200 RPM, which is a small number of them, but it's a number of them, will probably end up firing at like an 11% slower cyclic rate. And this is because the simulation for like extraction from the magazine, chambering, extraction from the chamber, and ejection requires that those 4 events occur on a separate frame. Which means at 80 hertz, it can only cycle 20 times per second, so 1200 rounds per second. And so it gets the upper bound of cyclic rate does get capped just a little bit, but in my own attempting to sort of like force test it, just like from 80 to 90 locally here, it wasn't really perceptible. So the other thing is, especially for those of you who end up getting a Rift S, I'm super curious how you end up feeling that the tracking works in terms of shoulder slot placement and size, and whether or not you're capable of accessing the backpack slot. Like whether the tracking system can ride your hand back there momentarily to pull the backpack on and off, even though it's going out of likely camera view. So that's something I'm really going to rely on you to give me feedback on, as to whether that feature's breaking, needs tweaking, or whether I really need to reconceptualize a completely different way of putting the backpack on and off, because this is a tracking void. So I would very much appreciate your feedback on that as you folks get that headset. And then lastly, it's just a short thing. I'm still getting periodically asked this. The game is not coming to a Quest. It cannot run. Even a stripped down version of H3 would still not be able to run on a standalone. It has to do, it's an ARM architecture. Physics runs very, very poorly on it compared to an x86, even a laptop chip. So it's not feasible. It's likely never going to be. But I just thought I would put that in there because I'm still getting like 5 or 6 emails a week about it. So that about wraps up this very overlong devlog. I hope this was all interesting to you. I hope you are excited to play the Take and Hold Alpha. I've probably played more of this. My neck's actually a little sore from it, from whipping my head around with an HMD on, than any other mode in H3, at least in this period of time. Having a blast with it. I hope you have as much fun with it as I have. So, anywho, 7 p.m. PST, update will be live on the Alpha branch only, okay? So remember, if you don't remember how to pull something up on Alpha, you right-click the game in Steam, you click Properties, you jump over to Betas, you click the drop-down, and you're going to look for Alpha 1. And that will switch you to the Alpha branch, and you'll be able to play this new version of Take and Hold. Anywho, I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and I will talk to you soon. Peace.